What's up, everybody? My name's Tyler. You're watching Mom's Basement MMA, and joining me on the program today is Andrew Stewart. He's an undefeated fighter, and he trains at Nashville MMA. Andrew, welcome back to the program, sir. We have a big fight coming up December 21st. I'm sure you're really excited for it.
Super excited. I'm always happy to get in the cage, but thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Can you tell me a little bit about your 2024? You've been a busy man, racking up the wins. Tell me a little bit about what were some of your goals at the beginning of the year and kind of like where we are right now. And have you hit most of the goals that you set out for yourself?
Yeah, obviously the goal was to take as many fights as I can, get my record up to where I can turn some eyeballs at the highest level, UFC, PFL. I had several fights scheduled. 3 of them came through, and I handled business all 3 times. And now I got a 4th one scheduled for here in a couple weeks. So super excited. I couldn't be happier with the way 2024 is when I hit the ground running as a professional, and hopefully 2025 is going to be the year that I can step onto the bigger stages.
Andrew, in terms of your development as a mixed martial artist, and what facet of your game have you felt that you've improved the most in 2024?
Probably my boxing in general. My boxing's came a long way. I've always had like explosive, strong power, but I feel like I'm getting a lot better as far as extending combinations and creating angles and doing different things. My grappling, I've always kind of been like a strong, fast, good, top-heavy grappler, and I definitely feel like I've made some big strides in that department. But I'm trying to break into the UFC, and I think the way to get there is through knockouts. I think that's what's exciting. I think that's what people want to see. So that's why I've tried to tailor my game lately. But yeah, I always have the ground game as a backup.
Yes, sir. Well, Andrew, can you tell me a little bit about your most recent fight? You fought earlier this summer. You fought Ralston Thomas at the Aries Fight Series show. I think about you. I think about a guy that has a gift for finding these early finishes. This fight ends up going the distance. What do you remember from that fight against Thomas? And are you surprised that it went the full 15 minutes?
Yeah, I was a little surprised it went the full 15 minutes. I thought he was going to engage with me more. He kind of faded back a lot more than I expected. I thought he was going to be a little more offensive. It kind of seemed like he kind of resorted himself to losing a decision. And so the way I look at it is I'm going to take all the responsibility I can on myself, and I need to learn how to get people out of there that are trying to just survive. But yeah, I ended up getting him on the ground, just opportunistically taking him down in the first. And then I realized how much better I was on the ground. So like I kind of mentally was like, I'll just take it back to the ground if worst case scenario. So I definitely learned a lot about like pace and setting things up. So that's what I've been focused on my boxing and setting up new ways to knock people out, because it was a little frustrating when I wasn't getting engaged with in the way that I wanted to.
Was it also kind of a learning experience for you, because you're the type of guy that like finishes these fights in the first round, and now you're sitting on a stool, and now your coach is talking to you, and now they're asking for adjustments? What were some of the things that your coaches asked you to implement? What changes did you have to make over the course of that fight? And was it kind of like a learning experience for you in a way?
Oh, it was a huge learning experience. I'm just used to steamrolling the guys. And I think if he would have tried to win that fight, I think it probably would have ended the same way all the other ones do, real early. But I got to prepare. Like I got to prepare in a way that I think other people are also. But there's going to be people that are going to try to drag me into later rounds. I'm assuming that was his game plan. He was probably just as tired, more tired than I was going into those later rounds. He probably thought he'd have more gas in the tank than I did. But I got to prepare for those type of people. But yeah, it was different as a professional to sit in the corner and get coached and explain, which I can always hear Dustin while I'm fighting. Like I hear it plain as day whenever he's talking. So it's almost like I'm getting the same coaching in the middle of the fight as I am in between. He just kind of reiterating some of the things that I already know. And it wasn't like there was a lot for me to adjust. It was more like clean some things up, do this, don't do this, watch for this. But yeah, Dustin's as good as it gets leading up to the fight, and then also in between rounds. I couldn't ask for a better coach, and I think he's the reason that I'm in the position I am today.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, talking to you on and off camera over the past few months, you have been preparing to fight at 170 pounds, and we've kind of been doing some test cuts, some
Mhm.
catch weight bouts at 175. This upcoming bout against Jimmy Sandlin on December 21st, 170 pounds, welterweight limit. Can you tell me a little bit? How are you feeling right now? And just kind of your body and just everything. How are you holding up with this bigger weight cut on the horizon for you?
I feel really good. I started the diet months ago. I've been working my way down. I feel really good going down. I actually felt like I could have done it the last time as well. The 75 last time was a lot easier than the first time. So my body's definitely getting used to pulling the weight down. And like I said, I think at the highest level, I'm a welterweight. I'm a welterweight for sure. So I've been working to get down to welterweights ever since I turned professional. So it's been a process. We've been smart about it. We've knocked it down and took our time getting here. But yeah, I think we're ready, and I should be operating at a really high level in a couple of weeks.
And can you tell me, sir, Jimmy Sandlin, this is a guy that I've heard his name out and about for a long time. Been a guy that I've seen in a lot of different organizations over the years. He's a gamer, and this is a type of guy that has ruined some plans before. I think when people look at this guy's record, it's probably an easy thing to just kind of dismiss this guy and just kind of shrug your shoulders, not think much of him. Tell me what you think about Jimmy Sandlin.
I'm not dismissing his record at all. I think, he's got 8 professional MMA wins. He's got like 29 professional bouts between all these different organizations and sports. He's got the experience advantage, but I just don't see anything. I don't see anything in his game that I can't handle. I don't think size, speed, strength, technique. I just don't see any areas where I think that I would have a disadvantage. I can't think of a single aspect of the fight that I have a disadvantage. He has the advantage as far as experience goes, but I feel like I'm extremely calm. Anyways, I feel like I have the demeanor of an experienced fighter already. So yeah, I'm not dismissing him at all. Taking him very serious. If somebody thinks they're coming into Nashville to take my zero, they got another thing coming. I'm going to do everything I can to keep that from happening. And the last thing I'm going to do is underestimate somebody and lose because of something like that. So I'm going to be sharp. I'm going to show up. I'm going to take him very serious, and I plan on dominating this fight.
When you look at Jimmy, can you tell me like where do you think he is best? Like when you try to like unpack his game and you like watch the film and watch what he's been able to do against previous competition, what would you say is his biggest strength? What would you say is his biggest weakness?
His strength is that he's not afraid to get into the fire a little bit, which is also a weakness with me. But I like that he is pretty technical. He's clean. I think that when he throws well. But I think that he misjudges his range and timing, which would be a problem with me. I think his jiu-jitsu is okay based on what I've seen. I don't think he has a bad jiu-jitsu game. I just don't see me having any problems. Like I have no problems with jiu-jitsu fighters. So I couldn't imagine even being worried about being in any position on the ground. But he does some things good. He does some things good, but I just don't think there's anything that he does so well that I haven't seen just as good or better every day at the practice room.
Well, I won't ask you about game plans or anything like that, but I remember the last time we spoke, we talked about grappling and wrestling, and you just kind of gave me that smile, kind of how you are right now. Like, I'm ready, man. Like, a lot of my grappling, a lot of my wrestling, you guys haven't seen, but if the
Yeah.
fights go that way, I'm ready to, unveil that part of my game if I absolutely have to. Do you think we're going to see some wrestling and grappling in this fight, or are you expecting this to just be a brawl, for lack of better terms?
It won't be a brawl by no means, and I don't expect to see much grappling.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and we will end it
I
at
think
that.
I think it'll be the cleanest performance I've ever had.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, December 21st, make sure you attend Nashville Underground. My man here is getting ready to put on a performance for you. But I will ask you this before we let you go. if you get the win here over an opponent like this, that puts you at 4-0, and we're like ending the year on like an undefeated streak of sorts. Tell me, like, what would a win over Sandlin mean for you at this point of your career?
It's just the next step for me. All these fights are a means to an end. I want to be in the UFC. That's my end goal. So Jimmy's the next step in that game plan. And then after that, we'll look at put all the cards on the table and decide what's the next best move. But probably once I get this fight taken care of, I'll probably try to fight for Aries welterweight belt. And then if I have to do another one, I might try to grab the middleweight belt. Why not?
Well, I won't ask you for a name because I know that's for the fans in attendance, but do you have a hit list? Is there like a name of guys that you really want to fight?
I don't. It's funny. I used to have this list when I was at 85, but I've been so focused on making 70. I haven't really even scouted a lot of the talent at 170 the way I did at 85 when I was a 85er that I thought permanently. But now that I'm going 70, I guess I need to start. I might have to start calling for some names. But yeah, that's a good idea. I need to get back on that. But yeah, I kind of just take whatever. Aries takes care of me really well. They find really good talent. They find good opponents, people that show up. So I let my manager and Dustin and Aries work things out, and I show up and fight whoever they put in front of me. So hopefully they find somebody that's worthy of fighting for a welterweight title. And then if I have another one between, my opportunities at the UFC level, I'll find me a good middleweight contender just so I can have a couple belts. I have the underground belt and then 2 champ for Aries. I have so much respect for Aries. I'd love to carry both their belts. Their former welterweight champion, Trevor Peaks in the UFC, their former middleweight champion, Torres Finney's in the UFC. And then it'd be cool if I had both of them on my way into the UFC.
Well, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. December 21st, that is going to be the date of the fight. So make sure you show up if you're in the Nashville area. And Andrew, I want to give you a final opportunity here before we call it here. If there's anything that you wanted to say to your Stewie squad, any sponsors, any shout outs that you want to do before we call it a day, why don't we go ahead and knock it out?
Yeah, I'll nothing but love for the Stewie squad. They come out and support me like nobody else. If you've never been to a Stewie show, you need to come. And then the sponsors, Compass Human Performance, Dr. Howard, he always takes care of me. He's a big reason why I'm as healthy as I am. And then the Ridge Chiropractic, my brother-in-law owns that. He's been a sponsor of mine from the get-go. And then another one of our friends, a chiropractor at Proactive Spine Care in Somerset, he's also been part of my team since I was an amateur. So really, really appreciate those guys. I've had a few people reach out about potentially sponsoring me for this fight. So if that goes through, then I'd love to give them some shout outs going forward too. So
perfect. Well, Andrew, I really appreciate your time this afternoon. I wish you the best of skill. Look forward to speaking to you again in 2025.
Hey, anytime.